Under the camera, on your left, Edgar Magalhaes playing Sultai Urza, Matthew Dilks, and Will Pullium on Amulet Titan. And then on the other side of things, Harlan Fear with Bant Snowblade, Zach Allen on Sultai Titan, and Danny Jessup, of course, playing an Urza strategy, because why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, Dan is known for playing the best deck in a given format at basically all times.
Does not brew.
Does not brew.
No.
Doesn't need to brew.
That's true.
His results are great.
Yeah. Nope.
Over the last decade, he probably has like a cool 65% win percentage over the course of like literally 1,000 tournaments.
Honestly, wouldn't surprise me if that were true. He always just plays whatever the best thing is, doesn't even think about it, and I actually find that to be an admirable trait.
Yeah, he top-8'd like, 3 invitationals in a row and was in multiple players' championships.
Yeah, just plays the best deck in all formats, and he's doing that again here this weekend with Simic Urza. Up against Will Pullium playing Amulet Titan. He's has Pullium in Open with Amulet Titan before. He's a big fan of this strategy, as is the teammate to his left in Matthew Dilks. So
I haven't compared their lists side by side, but I assume they're playing the same 75. I have heard from one Nick Miller that they have a very interesting collaborative process that involves Pullium, Dilks, Magalhaes, and Daryl Ayers all screen sharing all 4 of their matches simultaneously, talking about all 4 matches whenever they want input.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of the coolest things I've heard about a testing process in a long time, so kind of jealous.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that was the case.
Magalhaes here, the standout, not playing the Amulet Titan deck. I know the other 3 are.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. Well, I guess I'm not that surprised to see Edgar playing Urza because Urza is such a good deck, and he didn't bring that to the Players' Championship a couple of weekends ago where he got second place. Unfortunately for him, losing the finals to the incredibly talented Oliver Tomiko, as Jessup is going to sacrifice a Scalding Tarn, get himself a snow-covered island, and just pass the turn back. So not the most explosive of starts here for him, something that you do expect to see from the Urza strategy. They can do crazy things with Mox Opal and Emery and Urza and so on, and none of that is happening right now.
Yeah, but a bunch of the deck in this day and age is reactive. Jessup's version is a bit more reactive than those I've seen, featuring Stoic Rebuttal on top of those Metallic Rebukes, Archmage's Charms, and Cryptic Commands. And at the moment, has the ability to play Stoic Rebuttal or Metallic Rebuke. I don't believe he has the ability to play both. I believe Metalcraft is 3, right?
Yeah, Metalcraft is 3. He's only got 2 right now on the battlefield in the Arkham's Astrolabe and the Mox Opal, so he does have the ability to play one of those counter spells, but the Cavern of Souls is almost certainly going to trump all of this. Cavern of Souls is a huge find here for Pullium. Didn't even have to Teleria West for it. Tapping 6 mana. Here is a Titan through the Cavern, and Jessup's in some serious trouble.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate there for Jessup. Not only the Cavern of Souls, but the natural draw of the Primeval Titan as opposed to the Summoner's Pact.
Yep.
Because he actually had an answer to basically half of this. All of it without a Cavern of Souls, and now he's basically just getting thrown in the dumpster.
And we can't forget about the Field of the Dead. That's also on the battlefield here for Pullium. There are 6 different land types in Forest, Snow-Covered Forest, Cavern of Souls, Teleria West, Castle Garenbrick, Field of the Dead. So some zombies are going to be coming along with this Primeval Titan resolving. And I can't imagine a world where Jessup's able to catch back up.
No, this game is effectively over. Pullium here can grab a second copy of Field of the Dead in any land or Vesuva in any other land, generate just a boatload of zombies, and without some sort of infinite combo, the Simic Urza deck is left trying to play a fair game against Field of the Dead. And if I've learned anything from playing Pioneer over the last few months, is that you can't beat Field of the Dead in a fair game.
Yeah, it's basically impossible. Field of the Dead is a huge addition to this deck. You're going to see Vesuva and Ghost Quarter come down. Vesuva's going to copy Field of the Dead, and Ghost Quarter will be found as well here. So you've got Pullium going to bring some zombies along with the Primeval Titan and the Sakura Tribe Scout. He's off to a beautiful start this game, and Jessup was trying to be pretty reactive, as you mentioned, Todd, but Cavern of Souls just kind of trumping all of that.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Even though the game started for Pullium a little slowly with the Garenbrick tapped on 1, Tribe Scout on 2. He's able to cast a Primeval Titan on 4 that is uncounterable, and sometimes that's just enough when the opponent is being really reactive. That's it. Going to scoop them up, and now we're going to head to Game 2 here between Simic Urza and Amulet Titan. Pullium's draw just phenomenal. The Cavern of Souls, game-breaking.
Yeah, you know, Pullium's draw, not that explosive, doesn't involve Amulet of Vigor, all the other stuff that deck can do. Neither player had particularly explosive draws as we watched that game unfold, but Pullium kept the card that was very, very important for him in the matchup, given the structure and the composition of Urza decks nowadays, which is Cavern Souls.
Right.
That's how you just kind of trump these Urza decks that have leaned so much on counter magic and reactive permission. He was able to find that, work himself to a W, easy breezy. As we take a look at Will's sideboard now, we'll start with him and his 3 Dismembers, 3 Mystical Disputes, 2 Tireless Tracker, Radiant Fountain Tectonic Edge, Engineered Explosives, another copy of Field of the Dead, which is almost certainly coming in, a Force of Vigor, a Rain of Excavator, and a Reclamation Sage. Todd, what do you like in the matchup and why?
So the deck is primarily blue that he's facing off against, even though it has quite a few artifacts and a couple green cards. Mystical Dispute is one of the best cards in the matchup and in the format against Simic Urza. Not only does it counter the marquee cards of Emery and Urza proper, but it also wins you counter wars for effectively 1 mana, acting as a pseudo Dispel. I absolutely love Mystical Dispute here, 100% coming in. Aside from that, you probably want to try to win the fair game. Like I said, these decks don't really have a combo finish anymore. They're trying to win by grinding you out with all the counter spells and interaction, winning with the Emerys and Urzas. So stuff like Tireless Tracker actually has a bit of play to it. You're going to play one of those early, kind of take away their ability to have initiative on the battlefield by stealing it with your own Tireless Tracker. It's also cheap enough so that you can leverage stuff like Mystical Dispute to your advantage. Aside from that, probably bringing in Engineered Explosives on 0 is really potent against those decks, shutting off Mox Opal, sometimes clowning the tokens that get turned into 3/3s.
Yep.
Field of the Dead seems like a great addition here. Force of Vigor seems okay, but disenchant effects aren't great. Same way with Reclamation Sage, and that's about it.
For Danny Jessup's side of things, he's got 3 Ashiok Dream Render, 3 Veil of Summer, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Dismember, 2 Mystical Disputes of his own, as well as a Nature's Claim. Naturally, you're going to like Ashiok and its ability to stop Primeval Titan from searching. But what else do we like here in this matchup?
I mean, the Ashiok is the blade, right? It's going to shut down Summoner's Pact. It's going to shut down Primeval Titan. With it on the battlefield, Pullium's deck no longer functions. So he's going to have to find a way to either dodge that or get around it by attacking it with stuff like Tireless Tracker, those Secure Tribe Scouts, etc. Ashiok can't tick up. It's actually kind of easy to chop down if there's no defense in the way. Aside from that, Damping Sphere turns off a lot of those bounce lands, so I love those coming in. It also shuts off Castle Garenbrig's acceleration as well.
Sure.
So it can really do a number. The Dismembers, I think, are necessary just to contain those early mana creatures. It's not great because it doesn't kill Primeval Titan, but it does the job it's supposed to do. And Jessup might bring in Nature's Claim as just a kind of fringe answer to Amulet of Vigor because those draws are usually the most explosive, though it is not something he wants to focus on, so having 1 Nature's Claim is usually okay. I probably wouldn't bring in like 2 or 3 if he had access to them, but like 1 or 2 is okay.
Those are the options there for both players. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment, but we do want to take a moment and go over the Season 1 schedule of the 2020 SCG Tour, where we're kicking things off here in Columbus. We will crown some champions here in just a bit. Knoxville next weekend, where Todd, Ryan, Brian Gottlieb, and Craig Krimples will be bringing you some modern action. We'll go to Richmond in February, where Theros Beyond Death will be legal. Same can be said for Philadelphia for those team-constructed opens. Indy Regional Championships, where we'll have more details. Baltimore. Yes, sir.
I was going to say the team constructed opens are going to be our first foray here on the SCG Tour on camera into the Pioneer format.
This is true.
I expect that those tournaments will be highly, highly fun to watch.
Yep.
And we're going to feature Pioneer quite a bit because it is the new format on the block. We've seen, a ton of Standard. We've seen a ton Modern. We've seen a ton of Legacy. Now we get Pioneer. It's going to be fun stuff.
Yeah, we're mixing it up. We got Indy and Baltimore as well that are going to be Pioneer. Syracuse there on March 21st and 22nd. Still deciding on formats for that, as well as Atlanta, Worcester, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Philadelphia. And then, of course, we'll have the SCGCON Summer featuring our Season 1 Invitational June 11th through the 14th at the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia.
If you want to take a look at that schedule and plan your year out and come see us, go to go.starcgames.com/schedule. You can check out all those dates and formats and pick and choose the ones you want to come see me.
Just you?
Just me.
Nobody else? Okay, noted.
Come bring me some Glory Bringers to sign.
Is that your go-to
card
now?
Oh, we be banging on them, baby. Glory banging on them. Oh, it feels so good to exert. And Pioneer is a great format when Glory Bringer is a marquee card.
I'm totally fine with Glory Bringer being one of the best cards in the format. That's fine with me, and it is very good.
It is extremely good.
But I'm fine with it being one of the best cards. It's not exactly. Well, I'm more of a Thundermaw Hellkite kind of guy.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite cards of all time. But
Right.
Glory Bee is nice. Glory Bee is nice.
The Spectral Procession guy really likes Thundermaw Hellkite, really?
I mean, we change as we go through life.
Oh, that's true.
We evolve.
Your taste buds
as people.
do alter.
There you go. Arkham's Astrolabe off of a snow-covered island, found via Flooded Strand. As here is the incredibly cool and fun Once Upon a Time to lead things off here for Will Pullium.
Once Upon a Time here is particularly potent in decks that want some of those key creatures and have some really important lands to fetch. I quite like it in decks like Infect, but I think here Amulet Titan puts it to one of its better uses, finding one of those 2-mana lands, finding Secure Tribe Scout, or in the right spots, finding Primeval Titan proper.
Wooded Foothills to find there for Will Pullium. We'll see what land he wants to start with. He will start with Cavern. We'll confirm what that's naming in just a moment. Giant is what you name for Primeval Titan, but it could be something else, as here is a Mishra's Bauble. And now there is an Emery. So let's mill 4 cards. Bauble is 1. Mystic Sanctuary, is 2. Damping Sphere is 3, and a fetch land was number 4. There is a Mystic Sanctuary that enters the battlefield tapped, so of course no trigger. But not a bad start here for Jessup because he's got something ideal to get back there with the Emery and Damping Sphere.
Yeah, if Pullium doesn't have an answer to this Emery, at Damping Sphere on turn number 3, it's going to be pretty tough.
We now do have our confirmation that Cavern is on Scout for Secure Tribe Scout. So that will be coming through eventually, you have to presume. Could also be a minor bluff where he doesn't even have those in the deck anymore, but I'd be surprised if that were actually the case. So Bauble is going to target Will Pullium. Jessup will draw for the turn as well as for the Bauble. So 2 new cards, one of which is Mishra's Bauble in hand now. Also an Urza and Oko there.
There's a lot of options at Jessup's disposal. I actually quite like going in and casting Ashiok Dream Render. It's going to turn off some fetch lands from Pullium, maybe a few other things. And then you can start playing Damping Sphere later. Damping Sphere is not that problematic at the moment, but something like Ashiok can just really hammer them in the early turns.
Another snow-covered island here via the Scalding Tarn, so Jessup's going to fall down to 18. Todd likes going with Ashiok. We'll see if Jessup wants to do the same.
It's going to bite him if he does, though, because Pullium does have Mystical Dispute in hand. The fetch land anyway is going to allow him to get Breeding Pool and cast the Mystical Dispute, and that's going to counter the Ashiok for just a single mana.
Now, you mentioned during the sideboarding just how powerful Mystical Dispute can be at winning counter wars, among many other things. It plays a huge role there, slowing down Ashiok, which is a blue and black spell. You see spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause their controller to search their library, so had that resolved, Fetch Lands, Primeval Titan, Summoner's Pact, and all that noise would have been stopped, but Mystical Dispute, very timely there for Will Pullium.
Pullium here with a very strange hand. Active Negation kind of sitting there. No real acceleration I've seen so far unless he can peel something like Azusa. Lost but Seeking. Finds a Secure Tribe Scout, which he can cast right now off the Cavernous Souls to make it uncounterable. And bounces it, and now he can reset it and name Cavernous Souls on Giant, and that'll protect his Primeval Titan.
Yeah, that's actually a really timely draw step there for Pullium, picking up that Secure Tribe Scout. Now able to accelerate himself a little bit better because he's not off to the most explosive of starts, but I can say that again for Jessup as well. Neither player is off to a very explosive start in any of these games thus far. We're going to head back over to Danny J now. He will draw a card, picked up a Metallic Rebuke, and of course draw from the Bauble as well, and found a copy of Archmage's Charm.
Didn't find a land, though. Gambled slightly to try to find a land or Mox Opal by not cracking the other Bauble, but that's going to leave him with an Urza rotting in his hand for the time being. Did pick up some really powerful interaction here with Archmage's Charm and looks like another Metallic Rebuke, but it's hard to see. Dismember here is going to be pretty key, though, knocking down that Tribe Scout. Pullium's acceleration is basically non-existent until that Tribe Scout, and now with the Dismember, it's gone again.
Yeah, it still continues to be a little bit of an awkward hand here for Jessup. So Damping Sphere is going to come back. Looks like that's going to get deployed. Metalcraft is online, though Mox Opal is not on the battlefield yet. But Jessup missing the land drop. Not able to do very much. Now he's going to sacrifice the Bauble. Metalcraft offline if we care about such things as we head back over to Will Pullium, who does have that Cavernous Souls in hand as well as the Pact of Negation that you mentioned a little bit earlier, Todd. His hand is very awkward, but it looks like we're going to see something get played here, and it's going to be a Tireless Tracker.
Yeah. So Cavern's naming Giant. The Simic Growth Chamber actually only taps for 1 mana right now thanks to that Damping Sphere, but Tireless Tracker is a pretty nice one. Jessup going to draw an extra card off of that Mishra's Bauble. Picks up an Ashiok.
Yeah, it's a big draw.
It's a bit worse in the face of a Tireless Tracker. Like I said, It's not that hard to attack down since it doesn't tick up at all. And with that small amount of pressure with the Tireless Tracker, that is enough to maybe threaten to keep the Ashiok in check.
Yeah. Fetching here off of the Misty Rainforest. It'll be a snow-covered forest. That's going to give Jessup the green mana that he is missing. If he'd like to go towards Urza now, he can. Among other options that have now been made available.
Yeah, funny enough, Damning Sphere is actually going to make it so that Jessup can't play just a gigantic slew of spells.
Mm-hmm. Well, pretty hard to not go towards Oko.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oko's quite potent. And this is going to allow him to Metallic Rebuke as well.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty nice setup here for Jessup.
Can't go Emery into Mishra's Bauble and still cast the Dispute, though, because it does cost an extra mana thanks to his own Damning Sphere. But that Tireless Tracker effectively dealt with, turned into an Elk, no longer going to generate clues.
It's interesting how effective Damping Sphere is being right now for Jessup. As you mentioned, he'd like to play multiple spells per turn, right? He would have loved to get that Bauble back, but it's going to cost 1 mana. So instead, he's going to leave up the ability to play Metallic Rebuke. Oko's going to fall down to 2 from the attack from the Elk's Tireless Tracker. But I think it's doing more positive things than negative by slowing down simply that Simic Growth Chamber.
Oh, for sure. Keeping Pullium off of mana. It was almost like a Stone Rain. He had to return a land to his hand. The 2-mana land effectively only taps for 1 mana. You know, it doesn't take away the card proper, but it does slow him down. And that's all you really want to do in this matchup is slow down Amulet Titan long enough where your Urza takes over, your counter spells become good. The problem actually in this spot is that the Cavernous Soul is actually problematic.
Yep. It was a game winner last game for Pullium. It's causing some trouble in... It's going to ideally cause some trouble in this game. As you see, Oko's going to make a food token. So its loyalty is up to 4.
Yeah, the spell cast here is going to be Urza, Lord High Artificer. He's going to generate a Construct and unlock a boatload of mana for Jessup. Let's see what he does with it. Could hold it up, just be reactive with Metallic Rebuke and such.
Yeah, I think there's some appeal to doing that. Looks like he's going to activate Emery. Unless he is attacking, which I would be surprised. Okay, here we go.
No, he just pays 1 for the Bauble. And now he still has Metallic Rebuke mana up thanks to tapping the Bauble for blue and then, or tapping any of the artifacts for blue.
Yep. Oh, interesting.
Well,
okay, still has it because he's got the Construct, the Damping Sphere, and the Astrolabe. So Metallic Rebuke and Archmage's Charm, both online right now, as far as reactive ways to interact with Will. Will's land there, not ideal. Another copy of Field of the Dead, which means it's going to take a little bit longer to get those lands online and start cranking out zombies. Very, very slow draw. And this is what you mentioned a little bit earlier in the match, too, about Urza just wants to slow down Aim of the Titan.
Right.
As long as they kind of grind them down and start to get their card advantage engines online, which I would say Jessup is starting to do, it's very, very hard for Will to win the game.
Yeah, especially if another Ashiok or something like that comes down that prevents the Primeval Titan from having much of an effect. Once the Construct is a 6/6 or larger, it effectively checks the Primeval Titan if the Ashiok's on the battlefield. Even if it's uncountered, not getting a search is a huge deal.
Looks like Jessup is going to turn his food token into an Elk, and the Construct is going to also attack. So we're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 power Matthias Hunt token coming into the red zone. And I like what Jessup is doing now, which is he's basically saying, I'm going to convert my resources into trying to win the game now.
Yeah, and you need to do that because things can go south in a hurry.
Elk will trade with the Tireless Tracker Elk token. And now I'm curious to see what the follow-up is going to be, because this would be a great time. Be a great time to play an Ashiok. Now, this Ashiok, I believe, should cost 1 more because he got a Bauble back, so he'll have to tap an additional mana for that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that problematic with the Urza. It just has a ton left over, including the ability to play the Metallic Rebuke. So just a little bit of bookkeeping. Stuff like Damping Sphere is invisible. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of, but we got that fixed quickly. Pass the turn, Pullium, scoops him up.
Yeah, there's no coming back there for Will. He's got to deal with Ashiok, Construct token, Emery generating an advantage, and he didn't even see the counter magic that he had in hand in Archmage's Charm and Metallic Rebuke. It's almost hopeless at that point.
Yeah, I mean, the Cavernous Souls prevents a lot of those counter spells from being that effective, but at the same time, you know, anything that you could potentially have to break through the Ashiok or the Damping Sphere is just going to be invalidated because those aren't Primeval Titan. Those are the only thing. That's the only thing that's uncounterable.
Yeah. Good setup. So that gives you those two games that we just watched. It gives you kind of an idea of how things kind of go in this matchup. And among these pillars of the format, on one side you've got Urza and Oko. On the other side you've got Field of the Dead and Primeval Titan. And in that first game, Primeval Titan and Field of the Dead won and just did what they do. He didn't accelerate all that quickly, but got it through a Cavernous Soul, started making zombies, and Jessup is dead right away with reactive cards in hand. In that second game, Jessup's able to actually get his footing, start to get his card advantage engines online. And then it's just too much for Pullium to come back from because Pullium was just being slowed down in so many different ways there by Jessup. So that's kind of the recipe for both players.
No, for sure. I mean, we've seen Pullium actually keep two relatively slow hands comparatively to what their deck is capable of in the first two games. The first one, he was on the play, was able to play a turn 2 Tribe Scout. No removal from Jessup allowed that to ramp into a Primeval Titan. All the counterspells basically invalidated. Jessup also keeping a slow hand that was really reactive, completely punished by the counter souls. Game 2 had all of those same reactive elements with the counter spells, but also the proactive nature of Emery to generate card advantage with Bobble, as well as finding a Damping Sphere off the mill, and that was able to slowly but surely crank Pullium until he tapped out. Now we're here for game number 3 as both players shuffle up.
We're going to learn very quickly about both these players. We'll start with Danny Jessup, who we call him the stock deck guy because he just loves to play the best deck in all formats and has had a lot of success doing just that. As you can see, all-time 17 open top 8s with 1 win, 4 invitational top 8s as well. Has played in a Players' Championship or 2, and has had the honor of giving up a home run to Mike Trout when he was 12.
Quick question.
I got a quick answer.
Was he trying to spell Roanoke?
Rokan Kakomba.
What is that?
Look, so
what is that garbage nonsense?
Here's a little look behind the lens here, Todd.
All right.
This player slide, it's always said that city name. I don't know how to say that city name, so I never bring it up. I just let it sit there. Most of the time I say where the player's from. And for Danny Jessup, he's from New York.
He's from New York?
He's just from New York. He's from
Rockacoma. Maybe.
I think, yeah. See, now Will's from South Carolina. See, Greenwood, that's easy. I'm happy to say Greenwood all day.
Are you sure that's not pronounced Greenwood?
I'm positive, yes.
Greenwood?
Greenwood. 23 years old.
He's a young'un.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, 7 open top 8s, 2 wins, one of which was with Amulet Titan, Invitational top 8 1 as well, and has not 1 but 2 degrees in engineering.
Wait, why would you need the 2nd degree in engineering?
You should ask Will. I don't know.
Is one of them electrical and the other is...
Could be mechanical.
Regular? Is there a regular engineer?
Just regular engineering.
Yeah. I'm an engineer. Okay, what kind? 2 kinds.
Yes. I'm engineer flooded. He's the ultimate engineer. All right, we finally got an update on that middle match. That one was going for a while. Saltite Titan versus Amulet Titan, but it was Zach Allen who won game number 1. Edgar Magalhaes, he wasn't messing around. He dispatched Harlan Fear pretty quickly.
Dollars to donuts. Zach Allen won with a Crater Hoof Behemoth trigger. I saw him win multiple games yesterday with Field of the Dead, Crater Hoof Behemoth. Looked pretty nice. And I assume that game took a while, right?
It took a very long time.
That game took about 23 minutes to conclude. I bet both players had a boatload of Field of the Dead zombies, and they just killed them with Crater Hoof.
Got hoofed, which we now confirm.
Oh, yeah.
Intern Rob just let us know. 4-year intern Rob.
4-year intern
Yeah.
Rob. Wow. Do we even pay him? I'm sorry, dude. How are you surviving?
We pay him in cards, Todd.
And we're not allowed to do that anymore.
And creature collection sleeves. Yeah. And then Rob eBays them.
Man.
And
as long as he can get the penguins, the jetpack penguins are lit.
Might be the first. I think that might be the first member of the creature collection was the jetpack penguin.
No.
I seriously think that might be true. I'm not like 100% positive. Edgar going to wheel on over here, but I think that might be true. It's got a storied history of the creature collection, like a decade worth of stuff.
Yeah, it's great. It was a great idea. Back in the day, it's still going strong. Every month.
Here comes Harlan. Vroom.
He got beat so fast. Compared to how this format
it's pretty
goes.
Fast. Pretty fast beatdown. And both of them are playing like control decks, too.
Yeah. The Band Snowblade is not fast in winning games.
Triple up. All right.
3-headed giants has been called. Dilks looks over, is just like, you know what? Y'all fine. You
don't need me.
I'm good.
Once upon a time. Let's start it up.
I got to spend all my mental energy remembering every sequence and iteration from Amulet Titan that I've learned over the past 2 years. Leave me alone.
He doesn't even put a die on his deck when he resolves Summoner's Pact.
No.
He's just like...
Why would you ever forget? Are you dumb?
I'm old. That's why.
No, I've died in my own pack like 3 times.
I'm an old man.
You know. All right, once upon a time here, in a breeding pool from Pullium to start things off. No Sakura Tribe Scout, which I think is important because that is one of the better cards for him in the matchup. Since there's not a whole lot of actual spot removal or cheap spot removal from the Simic Urza deck, that Sakura Tribe Scout left unfettered for multiple turns usually involves just going ballistic from the Amulet Titan deck.
Yeah, you're generally going to find a turn 3 Primeval Titan if that Tribe Scout comes down on turn 1. But no Tribe Scout this game, but it looks like Jessup is going to search up a breeding pool. Going to fall down to 17, and I think we're going to have the goose be loose on this battlefield. Yep.
Didn't you miss me?
I sure did. That's the word I'd use.
Good.
Missed.
I'm glad.
That's right.
I'm very happy to hear that you did miss me. You know, it's funny. I actually haven't commentated a show since October because of the way the schedule was. Mine and Ryan's schedule was front-loaded really heavily.
Yeah.
Because of just people's other commentators' obligations and such. And so October was my last show. 3 weeks later was like SCGCOL that I played in.
Yep.
And then there was just nothing for 2 months for me to do. So I just streamed constantly.
Yeah.
And played
Bored out of your
Pioneer
skull?
Cons. No, it was great, but I was very lonely. Just very lonely. These are my my recharge weekends where I come and actually get to refuel with my human interaction.
Okay.
Right? And then I go home to California and sit in a house for 4 weeks straight. And I come back and I recharge again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever works, man.
It's it's not great.
Yeah.
It's fine.
We're going to head back over to Will. You're making the broadcast sad, man. You got to get out more. You got to get out.
What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
No one, and I'm 33 years old.
I don't know you living.
Have you ever tried to make a friend when you're over 30?
I have not. No,
Right.
no, I have not.
Yeah. No,
I have.
look,
I have plenty of
10 years ago,
No new friends applies.
10 years ago, no new friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Stays.
That's a
Except
hard-
Rob.
that's
Intern
a-
Rob is a
nope.
new friend.
He's an intern.
He's like, okay.
He's an intern.
All right. Intern Rob is an intern.
Archmage's Charm. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna get us back on the track.
All right, here we go.
briefly. Archmage's Charm is gonna take care of Azusa.
This is what Overtrip has to deal with every time.
That's why I don't.
Just so you know.
That's why he's with you and I'm not.
That's why he's in the damn emergency room.
That's
Am I right?
true, yeah.
Gamers?
Yeah. And we wish Ryan well.
I do.
In the emergency room
I
right
killed him
now.
with kindness.
I hope
And
that's
strep throat.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know.
It's a bit of
He's okay. He's
bit
fine.
of bit of a throat issue today. Let's see. Is it time for an Oko? No, it's time for Ashiok. That's a much more problematic planeswalker right now.
Does he mill? You want to mill?
I wouldn't
No.
even activate it. Just
No,
go.
never. Keep it at 5. Make that Sakura Tribe Scout or Zeus have to attack an additional time.
Yeah, it's just an enchantment right now.
Yeah.
All right, there's a tracker. This is a Simic Growth Chamber. Triggers, plural. 1 for the bounce land, 1 for the tracker.
Get me a clue. That's something I don't have.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
Edgar with the assist. Sam Black clue token. Let's head back over to Daniel Jessup.
All right, Urza's pickup seems like a pretty easy play here because that's going to protect that.
Yeah,
Planeswalker.
it'll protect the Ashiok. You saw Jessup immediately kind of show that to Harlan and say, I'm pretty sure I'm just supposed to do this 1-2.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to me, makes a lot of sense.
It's either that or he starts chump blocking with the Goose to keep the Ashiok high, and that just seems loose.
Yeah, that doesn't seem great to me.
Seems loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
There it is.
There you
All
are.
right, there we go.
Little T-ball here with Todd in the booth. Little T-ball.
Look, you don't set them up, and I'll continue knocking them down.
Okay. I think. Here comes a construct token.
It's only a 1/1. No, weirdly enough, no other artifacts on the battlefield here. Jessup did have to crack that food token to cast Archmage's Charm early on the Azusa, but still, a lot of ways to protect the Ashiok right now.
If there's Castle Garenbrig, Primeval Titan could come down, though not the best of Primeval Titans, given the Ashiok that's on the battlefield. So for now, Will is going to start by sacking a clue, put a counter on the tracker. It's a 4-3 now. He'll draw a card.
He does have another land to play from hand as well, since he did return Forest last turn. Looks like he also picked up an Amulet of Vigor. Not sure how much that's going to help him at the moment, but could be good down the line.
Yeah, first time that card has shown up in the matchup.
Yep. Really trying to just hit 7 different land types so he can start turning on Field of the Dead. As we've discussed earlier, it is one of the more potent cards in the matchup because Jessup is not really comboing. So the grinding nature of Field of the Dead is quite good.
So it's a little bit curious here about if you're supposed to block with Gilded Goose or the Construct token. Looks like the Goose is going to bite the dust. There's the Amulet post-combat. And Will does still have 2 mana to crack a clue if he'd like to.
I like letting the Goose go because that Construct, if you just play a couple artifacts, can combine with the Urza to maybe gang block on the Tireless Tracker to kill it. It also adds an additional mana, so he could maybe spend with Urza when he might not be able to necessarily.
Damping Sphere.
Yep.
Could be the play. And he's actually got a backup Goose. So this is actually a pretty good turn here for Jessup because he generates a food token, can play Dampening Sphere to make another artifact on the battlefield, and then start to slowly but surely get to work with Urza itself. So this isn't a bad place to be.
All right. Goose and Damping Sphere. Pullium draws a card. Maybe looking for Pact of Negation to counter the Damping Sphere because this was done in response. Mystic Sanctuary going to put that Archmage Charm back on top. It's a pretty good one to draw. One of the better draws at the moment.
And you do a quick count. Well,
you can spend, but
you can't pay.
Can't pay because of the Damping Sphere.
Yeah, and because Urza, you're casting the card. You're not just placing it on the battlefield or playing it for free or anything. Well, you're playing it for free, but you have to. The Damping Sphere tax does happen.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing, you also shuffle the deck first, so it's not like he could just flip the Archmage's Charm. It is going to be random.
Sure. Oh, a little Urza beatdown? Oh,
you're not blocking with it. No attacks, no blocks. What are you going to do?
I mean, you know what I'm going to do.
You're going to beat down.
I play one way.
1, 2, 3, 4 coming in.
That means a Goose is almost assuredly on blocking duty. So if there's a way to get this Goose out of the way, Pullium is going to take that opportunity.
Tireless Tracker actually putting on a bit of a show just because it is necessary to basically chump block it every single turn to make sure the Ashiok stays alive long enough to contain Primeval Titan, Summoner's Pact, etc. But a Dismember, something like that here, it could be Pullium's way out.
Castle Garenbrig, make a clue, sacrifice the clue with the Simic Growth Chamber and the Field of the Dead. There is no mana floating because Dampening Sphere is on the battlefield. Now the Tireless Tracker is almost assuredly going after the Ashiok. The Goose will block. Or not.
I mean, it should block. Yeah.
There we go. Let's see what the follow-up is if Will has one. Secure Tribes got a little late to this party.
Yeah, but it's still not bad. Because of the Tireless Tracker, any amount of mana is good mana. Because you just keep cycling, drawing cards, finding more lands to put onto the battlefield that makes more clues. Every bounce land still has the trigger to return a land to your hand, even though it only taps for colorless. So that gives you more potential triggers, more clues for Tireless Tracker, and maybe eventually able to overcome this bad spot.
Yeah, definitely a good spot here for Jessup. He's continuing to just control the game. So, Jessup is going to shuffle up and deal. What would you call here for some sort of gambling reference? You got a lucky phrase? He's trying to spike here. Dealer one time.
No, dude, luck is an illusion.
Noted for the future.
Good luck or bad luck is literally just a string of variants, one way or another, that will eventually be corrected over time.
What if I have all good luck? Always.
Well, you are the luckiest person I know.
That's just not even close to true. Here's an
I've never beaten you in a game of Magic, so.
That's also not true.
That's also not true. You're right. I beat you plenty.
That's also not true. Stop lying.
I've beaten you in at least 3 games. Because I know that I beat you.
Here it is.
When you got a game loss.
Yeah, here it is. What?
For having a sideboard card in your main deck at a PTQ.
What?
Where you got 9th after you beat me.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Back at
that is true.
Arkansas 2006.
It was not in Arkansas.
2007.
It was in Louisville,
Kentucky. You're right.
It was in Louisville, Kentucky.
Just somewhere in that area. I don't know.
And
it's
I
all the same.
kicked the crap out of you with Kithkin per usual.
As per usual.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I was playing
a very bad red deck.
Elementals. Mono red element. It was a new deck. You may have heard of it. Elementals.
Yeah.
Back in Lore and Black
Yeah,
Constructed.
sure. That was a tribe you could play if you didn't want to win.
Look,
That was the thing you were allowed to do.
I was in contention for top 8 in the last round, sir.
Nicely done.
You were not.
That's not true. Clue token.
You got ninth.
We will get to that.
You won and got ninth.
We will get to that.
You
a
are
little
no
later.
longer.
We will get to that a little later.
Sorry.
Clue token here. Tracker's going to get another counter.
There comes a point in these games. There's just too much for me to. I don't know what. What am I supposed to say? Yeah, he's got some blockers for the Oko and the one Talus Tracker versus Oko and.
What should you say for the job we pay you to do? What do you think? What do you think we should do? You tell me. You let me know. Let's frame this however you want.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Talus Tracker coming in.
There we go.
We're gonna have a chop block.
There we go.
With the Matthias Construct.
There we go.
You paid me to be entertaining, and damn it, I am being entertaining.
There it is.
That's what I'm doing.
Matthias Hunt is now in the graveyard. Well, no longer on the battlefield, we'll say.
It did touch the graveyard.
Yes.
A GG.
What's next here for Will the Thrill?
Something getting either countered. I don't know. I would kind of like Jessup here to just fire this off, either to draw 2 cards or to steal something.
Well,
either of those seems fine.
Your wish occurred,
Ooh.
and we're going to have a Dismember in response here.
Probably going to target the Urza,
Yeah.
yeah. It's going to contain a bit of that card advantage. But Jessup did choose to draw 2 cards with the Archmage's Charm, so going to get 2 fresh ones, untap. Doesn't have a boatload of mana like he did, but does get to untap with an Oko, and that could be pretty good here.
He has Engineered Explosives, Cryptic Command, and Arkham's Astrolabe in hand.
Man, let's injure explosives for X equals 3. Let's do it. Get rid of that Tiles Tracker.
And that Oko and that Ashiok.
Oh, no.
I don't.
Oh, no.
I
know.
That's not what I would do.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
That's not what I would do.
I mean, I might do it on accident.
Okay.
Just because.
3 is also going to be tough to do given the lands that are on the battlefield. That's a little easier now.
Also, because of Damning Sphere.
There he is. Now we got him cooking.
He has to pay. He can say X equals. No, that doesn't work.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. Walked you right into that trap.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Sure did.
It would be Sunburst 2 and then pay an additional 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Which would make it Sunburst 3. You get it. You get it. Harlan checking in. Do you remember long-haired Harlan?
Yes.
Were you around for those days?
Yes, I loved long hair Harlan.
Yeah.
Short hair Harlan's okay.
I'm pro all versions of Harlan, but there are some versions that are better than others.
Well, to be fair, he donated that hair to Locks of Love. And
That's
he was
true.
growing it out to donate.
Yeah, he does that occasionally.
Yeah. It's been a while, but it was a good cause.
Well, that's a fun little turn.
Mm.
Put in a Selesnya Sanctuary, get a clue, and a Justin Parnell zombie token.
I'm telling you, this actually looks really bad for Jessup, just because there's so much going on. The Field of the Dead's going to eventually take over. The extra clues and land drops and everything from Tribe Scout and Tireless Tracker is going to ultimately beat the Oko. He needs to plus the Oko on the Tireless Tracker. It'll turn into an 8/8, but at least it'll stop getting bigger and stop getting clues.
Well, the big question now is,
can you beat Field of the Dead?
Yeah, I mean, can Jessup beat Field of the Dead, which is very difficult for these Urza decks to do.
Oh, no.
And if you are Will Pullium, are you going after life total, are you going after Oko, or are you going after Ashiok?
I mean, he has a hand that has at least a Summoner's Pact, and I have to imagine Ashiok is the target for now, because once you get that off the battlefield, it basically unlocks everything else. But ultimately goes after the Oko. That's going to force a chump block from the Elk. Oko still takes 2 down to 5, but still at a healthy amount of loyalty. Also,
the fact that Dismember killed that Urza, and you mentioned this when it happened, it really slowed down a lot of Jessup's mana. So, for example, this Cryptic Command is all the mana here for Jessup. And Will Pullium has a Mystical Dispute in hand to be able to take care of this, potentially. Okay, hold on a minute. We got the trigger on the stack with the sacking of the clue.
Yeah, you might want to respond to this with Cryptic Command or Dismember, simply because if a Mystical Dispute is drawn, or a counterspell of any sort is drawn from Pullium, it's going to really disrupt this plan.
Zach Allen chiming in as well.
Yeah, they're all like, hey, use a cryptic command, bounce it. And he's just like, I don't know, man. I'm going to wait. Leave me alone. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Which, hey, that can make team tournaments tough.
Agree. When I'm playing a team tournament, I don't say a word unless my teammate asks me for help. Or they're about to make a huge blunder, just like oh, I forgot, like this card is in the format or whatever.
Yeah, you try to hope that doesn't happen. Is it time for Cryptic? It is. Looking to bounce, tracker, and draw a card. I think it's a good time to cast Mystical Dispute.
Yep. He's going to put another land on the battlefield here to generate an extra clue.
Oh, baby.
And it's a Vesuva Copping Field of Dead, which is going to generate 2 more zombies. And I don't, how are you supposed to beat this if you're Dan Jessup? You don't have Thopter Sword. You just have Oko and Urza. Even if you have Engineered Explosives, the bounce land plus a Secure Tribe Scout makes 2 zombies a turn at least. 4 if you have another land drop for the turn. Tireless Tracker, you keep drawing a bunch of cards. You basically have to Engineer Explosives for 0 just to buy yourself some time. Could do it. I don't know.
And that's the thing you kind of got to do every turn.
Right.
Too. That's it.
So you need Emery to do it every single turn.
So you need Emery to be able to make that happen every turn.
And you need you need Pullium not to have something that makes lands at instant speed, because then he can generate multiple zombies on end step and use those to pressure the planeswalkers.
See, Pullium has done a nice job here. Though none of his draws over the course of this match have been explosive, he has an idea of what he's trying to accomplish in the matchup, and I think that's the most important part, is you do have explosive draws with this Amulet Titan deck, but I feel that has given it a lot of longevity. So now you're going to see that clue token be sacrificed there by Pullium in response to the Engineered Explosives activation. EE will take care of all those zombies, and now Astrolabe will become an Elk token.
Beat down! Please beat down. Yes!
I think he's got to try.
Let's go. He's got Cryptic Command in the graveyard. Mystic Sanctuary in hand. We might actually be doing it.
It'd be a heck of a comeback.
It would. It would.
There's Astrolabe. I think that may cost 1 more. Oh, no, sorry, Bobble, which he paid 1 for. Excuse me. Cryptic Command on top of the deck.
Did he actually cast a spell?
Yeah, EE.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Okay. No, you're right. You're right. Good call.
Let's go back to Will. Take a look with the Bobble. All right. Will draws that card. Now, remember, Will's got a lot of cards in hand. One of them is Tireless Tracker. So he's going to start with Tireless Tracker. Okay. He's going to pay 3. Not yet. So now he's going to pay 4 for another tracker because it cost 1 more, though he is pretty unsure of himself. He's going to do it with Breeding Pool instead of the Gemstone Mine. What do we have here? We have Dismember.
Now he's going to pay 4 life to do that now. In response to the second tracker, because the land hasn't come down yet to generate a clue. If he waits any amount of time, then that's no longer the case.
Breeding Pool is going to come down tapped, and then Amulet of Vigor is going to untap it, so he doesn't have to take 2 points of damage. 2 zombies, clue token, pass the turn back, mana available to crack the clue.
I believe he also has a Dismember in hand, which can deal with the Elk token at least. Without Dismember, I think I would have liked to have him kill the Elk on upkeep because he knows there's a Cryptic Command coming. But maybe he just wants to save it for a more high-value target like Emery, since Emery is a way for that Engineered Explosives to recur multiple times over the next few turns. Dan Jessup here looking to cobble together a win. Seems pretty far behind, even though he has that powerful Planeswalker in Ashiok that locks down a lot of the potent tools from Pullium. Finds an Emery. Mills 4. But the important part is, of course, that Engineering Explosives in the graveyard that may potentially continue being used over time to contain those zombies. Turns Damping Sphere into an Elk, so now Pullium actually is going to end up having access to a boatload more mana thanks to the bounce lands getting unlocked. Currently there's only 1, but you have to imagine there's like at least 1 or 2 in hand that have been kind of hanging out.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise you one bit.
Tribe Scout, puts in a force, makes another clue, another
that's
zombie,
gonna do
and
it.
that's it.
It's just too much. It's too much to overcome. Will Pullium has built up such an advantage with Field of the Dead, and it just demonstrates the power of this card and the inability to beat it. He can dismember the Emery, and Dilks actually won his match too, so there you go. It's the clean sweep here from Edgar Magalhaes, Matthew Dilks, and Will Pullium, taking care of